Are the Toronto Maple Leafs on the brink of a game-changing trade as we approach the deadline? Speculation is swirling, and insiders are buzzing about a potential move that could reshape our roster for a championship run. With top-tier prospects and coveted draft picks in play, could we finally see the bold steps necessary to bring home the cup? If you're as passionate about our Leafs as I am, you won't want to miss this. Be sure to subscribe and hit that like button to stay updated on every exciting development. The Toronto Maple Leafs are gearing up for what could be a pivotal moment in their season, as the trade deadline looms just around the corner. Insider Jonas Siegel has ranked the team's top trade assets, shedding light on who might be on the move and what that could mean for the future of this storied franchise. Let's dive right into it. Starting at the top of Siegel's list, we have Easton Cowan and the Leafs' first-round pick in 2027. Cowan is a hot commodity, and it's easy to see why. He's the team's most exciting prospect, and if Toronto were to trade him, it would need to be for a player who can truly make an impact. Think along the lines of Dylan Cozens. The price tag for acquiring a veteran like Braden Shen or Brock Nelson just doesn't justify giving up a potential star like Cowan. It's clear that general manager Brad Treliving is playing the long game here. He can't sacrifice the future for a few months of success, especially when the team is already facing questions about its aging core. The thought of moving Cowan would only come into play if the team were in dire straits, or if they were absolutely convinced that a deal would propel them to a championship. Now let's talk about the first-round pick in 2027. The general feeling is that the Leafs might be more willing to part with that pick if they're certain they can land a future star. But if they lose key players like Mitch Marner and only get short-term help in return, well, that could make their future look even bleaker. I mean, do you risk a bright future for a chance at immediate glory? Personally, I'm torn on this one. The allure of a Stanley Cup is strong, but so is the desire to build a sustainable team. Moving down Siegel's list, we find Fraser Minten and the first-round pick for 2026. Minten is a more NHL-ready prospect, but he's not projected to be a superstar like Cowan. However, he's got solid positioning, a high hockey IQ, and an active defensive game, which makes him a valuable asset. He's already made an impression with 15 games played and 4 points this season. I think the Leafs would be more inclined to trade the 2026 pick rather than the 2027 one. But again, it's going to take a serious player, maybe someone like Noah Dobson, to pry Minten away from Toronto. The stakes are high here, folks. In the third group, Siegel mentions several players, including Ben Danford, Artur Akhtiamov, Dennis Hildeby, Nikita Grebinkin, and a second-round pick in 2025. Danford is a recent draft pick who has defensive upside but may not be a top-tier player. Akhtiamov and Hildeby are intriguing as potential future goaltenders, especially with Anthony Stolarz aging. If a team is excited about any of these guys, I think Toronto should jump at the chance to make a deal if it meets their needs. Now we get to the lower tier, featuring players like Nick Robertson, Pontus Holmberg, and a third-round pick in 2025. Robertson has been on the trading block for a while now. He's young and has potential, but he hasn't exactly set the world on fire in Toronto. Holmberg hasn't lived up to expectations either. It's tough to see these players as valuable trade chips right now. And the third-round pick? That's more of a sweetener than anything else. Finally, we reach the last group, where things get a bit grim. Max Domi, David Kampf, Topi Niemela, Marshall Rifai, and Connor Timmins find themselves here. Domi has been a disappointment, and his hefty contract doesn't help. Kampf has been decent as a fourth-line center, but his salary feels a bit steep for his contributions. Timmins? Yeah, he's been struggling and hasn't made a solid case to stay on the roster. Niemela and Rifai just haven't found their groove. The Leafs would need to find a team desperate enough to take on these players, and that's a tall order. As we look ahead, the choices that Treliving and the Maple Leafs make will reveal how they value their future versus immediate success. If they decide to part with someone like Cowan, it sends a strong message that they're all in on winning now. But if they can work some magic and fill the gaps without sacrificing too much, then the real asset they have is Treliving himself. TSN insider Bob McKenzie recently shared a concerning update about Mitch Marner's future with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and as a diehard fan, I can't help but feel this is a pivotal moment for our team. Marner has been showcasing his immense talent on the international stage, most recently at the Four Nations Face-Off, where he scored the overtime winner against Team Sweden and contributed key assists in the final against Team USA. These performances highlight his ability to shine in clutch situations, something we've all been waiting to see translate into the playoffs for the Leafs. Now, let's talk about context. While Auston Matthews also had a decent outing with 2 assists, he fell short when it came to defending Connor McDavid, leading to a crucial goal against Team USA. This kind of moment could raise questions about Matthews' consistency, especially when we compare it to Marner's recent brilliance. It's clear that Marner is ready to take on the big moments, and yet here we are, discussing his uncertain future with the team. With Marner set to become a free agent at the end of the season, Mackenzie emphasized the importance of retaining a player of his caliber. "Players like Marner are hard to come by," he said, and I couldn't agree more. Marner has been a cornerstone of this team, racking up an impressive 710 points in 632 regular season games and adding 50 points in 57 playoff games. Losing him would be a significant blow to our hopes of finally breaking that playoff curse. However, Mackenzie also expressed skepticism about the Leafs' chances of re-signing him, suggesting that it's more likely he will enter free agency. This revelation hits hard. As fans, we have invested so much hope and passion into this team, and the idea of Marner walking away feels like a gut punch. It's a scenario that the management seems to be preparing for, and that adds another layer of anxiety for us fans. Now, I have to ask, do you think this was the best decision? Honestly, I'm torn. On one hand, I understand the business side of hockey, salary cap constraints, the need to build a balanced team, and the pressure to perform in the playoffs. But on the other hand, it's Mitch Marner we're talking about. He's a game changer, a player who can turn the tide in critical moments. The thought of him in another jersey is hard to swallow. As we look ahead, it's essential to consider how this situation might unfold and what it means for our team's future. If Marner does walk, it could signal a major shift in the team's dynamics. The Maple Leafs have been criticized for their playoff performances, and losing a player like Marner could hinder our chances of finally capturing that elusive championship. It could also send a message to the fan base about the organization's commitment to winning. So, what's next for the Leafs? Do they double down and try to keep Marner, or do they pivot and start to look at other options? The clock is ticking, and these decisions will shape not just the current season, but the franchise's future. And you, what do you think? I want to hear your opinions down below. Are you optimistic about the management's ability to keep Marner, or are you bracing yourselves for the possibility of losing a star? It's our passion and our voices that fuel this community, and I encourage you to share your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow Leafs fans, and subscribe to stay updated on all the latest news and discussions surrounding our beloved team. And hey, make sure to activate that notification bell so you don't miss a single update. The future of the Maple Leafs is uncertain, but together as fans, we can navigate these waters.